What the Farage time now, and Nigel is in the studio. Well, I don't know where to start this week because in terms of politics, your involvement of it, of course, things are really heating up. But can we start with maybe some of the news that you don't always cover on your own show because it involves your political life, your Reform UK life, which I can talk about more easily. And of course, there have been these growing reports, Nigel, that you might be in talks with Tory MPs, Red Wall MPs specifically, about defecting from the Tories to Reform. Is this becoming a more serious proposition as the migrant crisis gets out of control?
The truth of it is, let's take the migrant crisis. This is hotels filling up all over the country, seaside towns, Midlands towns, northern towns, people enraged by what they're seeing. Social housing waiting lists get ever longer, GP appointments get ever longer, and they see all these young men getting, in their eyes, everything. So deep resentment. But even worse than that, it's a betrayal of Brexit. I mean, laughably, the deluded Rishi Sunak said in the House of Commons today, I back Brexit because it brings back control of our borders. I mean, you what?
But come on, even the Tory backbenchers were laughing at that, Nigel.
Well, they weren't. No, they weren't. I mean, it's embarrassing. So, look, I think a lot of these Red Wall MPs understand that unless something was drastically going to change, and that would mean a huge amendment to the Human Rights Act, leaving ECHR, or redefining the 1951 definition of what a refugee is, or perhaps all three at the same time, that they're basically gone. And they know that and they understand that. Now, we're way too early to talk about Red Wall Tory MPs defecting to Reform. But what we are talking about, and the conversations that I'm having with people, is there any point to the Conservative Party? Is there actually any point to a party? I mean, if it's now become high tax, big state, having launched a war on small business, is the Conservative Party reformable, or does something need to come along to replace it? Now, I know it's been around for 200 years, so that's the level of conversation, to be honest.
And Reform has launched a big advertising campaign this week, really honing in on the concept of stopping the boats. Let's have a little look. We have to talk about immigration. And of course, this coincides with lots of coverage in the mainstream media, who maybe for a while thought you were off the political front line, now speculating on a comeback. The Mail on Sunday, Trevor Kavanagh and the Sun.
Yeah, I saw all that. I mean, look, I was in the English Channel 2 years ago. I was out 2 years ago during lockdown.
I remember speaking to you then.
It was my good excuse to not be locked down.
You were working on the channel.
I always thought this would become a huge issue, and it is. It's massive.
You said it.
It leaks into everything, doesn't it? It leaks into housing, it leaks into health, everything. And our population explosion, which continues in this country. And, I mean, even legal migration. I mean, can you believe, the net figures of 500,000. So these are the numbers. I think this is becoming the biggest issue in British politics. It's likely to for some years to come. I personally, I'll be honest with you, I'm very happy being here at GBNews.
Good, I'm glad to hear that.
No, I genuinely am. And I think the channel is growing and maturing, getting a lot more influence. Getting back into active frontline politics is not top of my bucket list. It's not what I really want to do, but who's to say where we're going to be in 18 months' time?
Well, the problem is, Nigel, all of us who voted for Brexit now feel betrayed because we saw those net migration figures. And this was literally the opposite of why we ignored the establishment in 2016. I mean, literally, we ignored the Prime Minister today. We ignored all of the economists. We ignored it because we wanted
Barack Obama.
Exactly. All of it.
No, it is.
And we see these numbers exploding.
No, that is, and everybody running a small business thought being away from the EU rule book might make life just a little bit easier. No supply-side reform of any kind at all. A fishing industry saying, what was that all about? Nothing's improved. And the truth of it is, the Conservative Party was against Brexit, overwhelmingly against Brexit. It picked it up as a talisman after those European elections in 2019, won a vast majority off the back of it, but those at the top of the Conservative Party, they never really believed in it. They just used it for short-term political gain. And I now fear, you know, with Tony Blair, and we've got the other Miliband is back from New York, and they're all saying we must adhere to EU rules. And then the next conversation 2 years down the road is, well, if we're obeying all the rules and having no say, we may as well rejoin.